It begins not with a scream, but with a quiet, internal severing. One day, the rhythm of life feels familiar. The school runs, the grocery lists, the well-worn path of a shared future. Then, a switch flips. The woman who found purpose in the family unit suddenly seems like a stranger inhabiting her own life, seeking a new identity in unfamiliar places. Men are left standing in the wreckage of a reality they thought was permanent, holding a picture of a life that has suddenly vanished. Why does this transformation feel so universal, yet remain one of society's best-kept secrets? The truth is, the signs were never hidden. They were written in the very fabric of her psychological development. You believed the foundation you built together was solid, that history and shared struggle were a form of immunity. But what if you're living on a fault line you never knew existed? The most dangerous assumption a man can make is that the woman he married is the same person 2 decades later. This isn't about growing wiser. It's about a fundamental neurological and chemical recalibration. The priorities that once felt like bedrock begin to feel like a cage. A deep, unspoken hunger for external confirmation awakens, and this hunger can override a lifetime of loyalty. Greater than her sense of self-worth, you see, was often constructed on a platform that is inherently unstable: her perceived desirability. From her earliest memories, the world reflected back a single message: your value is intertwined with your appeal. For years, this system works. The attention is constant, the validation effortless. She feels seen, she feels powerful. But biology is a relentless force that gives, and then, just as relentlessly, it begins to take away. The mirror no longer shows the face she knows. It's not about ugliness. It's about the emergence of a stranger. The features that once commanded glances now blend into the background. This isn't the crisis of vanity. It's a full-scale collapse of identity. Greater than her entire understanding of her place in the world was built on being the object of desire, and now that foundation is crumbling into dust. Imagine dedicating your life to a single craft, your entire self-concept tied to your mastery. Then, one day, that mastery begins to fade. You're still competent, but the peak is behind you. Now, amplify that disorientation 100-fold, and you might glimpse the internal earthquake happening when a woman confronts the fading of her beauty. Greater than. But here is where the psychology turns dangerous. Instead of navigating this transition with acceptance, a modern cultural script encourages panic. It tells her to rage against the dying of the light, to declare war on nature itself. And in this war, the first casualty is often the life she built. Think about this. A compliment to a young woman is ambient noise. She's saturated with them. They barely register. But that same phrase, directed at a woman in her 40s, hits her neurological reward center like a lightning bolt. It is pure, unadulterated proof that she hasn't vanished. Greater than wide as a stranger's, casual remarks suddenly carry more weight than a decade of your devoted partnership? The answer is brutally simple. Your devotion is seen as a given, an obligation. His attention is a choice. This is the unspoken vulnerability. A married woman at this stage is not inherently disloyal. She is often psychologically starved for a specific type of affirmation that a long-term partner, by his very nature, cannot provide. The thrill isn't just in being seen. It's in being chosen all over again. Your attention is part of the furniture. His is a new, exciting discovery. And that first taste of external validation is a point of no return. It creates a memory, an itch that the comfortable, predictable pattern of a stable marriage can no longer scratch. Greater than. Can you pinpoint the exact moment your relationship enters the red zone? It's when her past is no longer a source of mild embarrassment, but of glowing nostalgia. When stories of old flames are told not with relief, but with a spark of longing. That's the moment the countdown truly begins. Her brain's chemical pathways have been rewiring for years. What once delivered a flood of pleasurable neurotransmitters now only provides a faint trickle. The intimate dinner you meticulously planned. Her brain might process it as a routine script. The weekend getaway? It registers as logistical management, not romance. The neurological channels have become so accustomed to your presence that you, my friend, have become predictable. And predictability is the enemy of a brain, desperately seeking new stimuli to feel alive. Greater than. She requires increasingly intense experiences just to feel a tremor of feeling. This is why the most shocking betrayals often occur after years of apparent stability. It's not born of malice, but of a profound desperation to feel anything again. The same woman who felt complete with a simple gesture at 25 now needs the high-stakes drama of an emotional affair at 45 just to sense a flicker of aliveness. I have witnessed this pattern repeat endlessly. The community pillar who abandons her life for a fleeting connection. The dedicated mother who shatters her family for a man she barely knows. And the husband is always the last to know, perpetually stunned. But were you really blind? Did you miss the prolonged stares in the mirror, heavy with criticism? The subtle glow when a new person offered a compliment? The emotional distance that grew while she went through the physical motions? The blueprint is always visible in hindsight. It starts with a romantic rewriting of her personal history. Old photographs resurface. The narrative of her youth is edited, turning past chapters into a golden age she mourns. Then, the social circle shifts. She gravitates towards other women who have broken free. These aren't just friends. They are cheerleaders for a narrative of victimhood. Their wine-fueled gatherings become echo chambers where marital struggles are, reframed as systemic oppression. Your stable home is reinterpreted through their lens as a confining cage. Greater than, and then there is the digital drug, social media. She falls into an algorithmically curated rabbit hole of successful transformations and brave new beginnings. Every scroll confirms her growing fear. Everyone else is living a more vibrant, validated life, and she is being left behind. The physical metamorphosis accelerates. It begins with subtle upkeep, then escalates into a frantic campaign against time itself. Extreme diets, punishing workout regimens, a wardrobe that seems borrowed from a younger generation. The goal is not to look good for her age. The goal is to no longer look her age at all. You can feel the desperation in every new purchase, in every carefully angled selfie. Finally, the emotional disconnection becomes a chasm. She demands space. Her schedule fills with mysterious new commitments, and her emotional presence becomes a binary switch. Either constant, manufactured conflict or an eerie, placid detachment. Both are alarm bells. One means she is constructing a legal and emotional case for her exit. The other means she is already gone, merely managing the guilt of her secret life. What's truly infuriating is how modern culture sanctifies this self-destruction. Greater than every media outlet and empowerment influencer choruses the same mantra. You deserve happiness. They frame her panic as a spiritual awakening, her rebellion as courage, and the demolition of her family as a noble act of self-love. They place her fleeting feelings above her solemn commitments, her personal fulfillment above her children's security. No one tells her the harder truth, that beauty is a temporary gift for all. That external validation is a dangerous addiction, and that building a legacy is more significant than chasing a temporary high. The butterflies she misses are often just anxiety in an attractive disguise. The passion she craves is merely novelty, mistaken for depth. Greater than instead, she is handed a script of empowerment which, when followed by a 40-year-old facing a biological and identity crisis, can look remarkably similar to the impulsive, destructive choices of a teenager. Both are slaves to a biological and psychological panic, and both leave a trail of wreckage in their search for a feeling. And you are expected to be understanding, to work on yourself, as if any amount of self-improvement can compete with the potent drug of being desired by a new admirer. You could transform into the ideal partner overnight, and it might not matter, because ideal can feel predictable, and predictability doesn't trigger the dopamine surge. Her brain is now screaming for greater than. Consider the toxic influence of her newly divorced social circle. These women are not neutral parties. They are active agents of destruction, peddling poison labeled as wisdom. You deserve better. Life is short. It's your turn. They are pulling her toward the cliff's edge because misery loves company, and nothing justifies a poor life decision like watching a friend make the same one. Observe what happens when your wife starts spending more time with them. Suddenly, normal marital compromises become acts of suppression. Everyday responsibilities become chains. A decade of shared building is retroactively painted as a decade of silent imprisonment. Greater than in social media acts as gasoline on this fire. She's no longer comparing her reality to her neighbor's reality. She's comparing her behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. The algorithm becomes her personal guru, assuring her that leaving is strength and staying is surrender. The reality she never sees is the bleak aftermath. The profiles don't show the loneliness 6 months later, when the new lover reveals his flaws. They don't show the quiet agony of a first Christmas alone because the children chose to be with their father. They don't show the soul-crushing exhaustion of starting over from scratch at 45. Greater than she traded a deep, weathered partnership for the cheap thrill of shallow attention, mistaking a spark for a sustainable fire. Men and women experience this phase of life on fundamentally different psychological planets. A man at 40 is often told he is coming into his own. His value in the social marketplace can increase. He faces aging with a sense of accumulation. A woman, however, is bombarded with the message that her primary value is depreciating. This is the core of the terror. His midlife crisis is often about reclaiming a feeling. Her midlife crisis is about denying a reality. And in that denial, she's often willing to tear down everything that reminds her of the passage of time, including the family that represents her journey. Greater than the cruelest cut is the historical rewrite. After she leaves, the entire marriage must be retroactively labeled a failure. We were never truly happy. I was living a lie. Every cherished memory is digitally erased. Every minor disagreement magnified into a trauma. She must paint you as the villain to justify the carnage. Admitting she traded a profound, real thing for a fleeting feeling is a truth too devastating to face.